due to mature subject matter. Viewer discretion is advised.
Man who has made medical history, but because of it, may spend the rest of his life in prison. He is Dr. Jack Kevorkian, a pathologist and inventor of the so-called suicide machine, and a man who has physically assisted 3 women to take their own lives. Just today, court proceedings began that could end with Dr. Kevorkian being convicted of murder.
Dr. Kevorkian's life began as that of a normal man. Born in 1928 to Armenian immigrants, he grew into a bright medical student who happened to have a fascination with death.
Dr. Kevorkian served in the military, beginning in 1953 serving as a general medical officer in Korea, using his mastery of the Japanese language to help medical intelligence in the area.
Dr. Kevorkian began focusing on hospice and end-of-life care, beginning what would end up being arguably America's most controversial medical career to date.
From 1956 on, Dr. Kevorkian worked as a pathologist, campaigning for rights along his way until 1987, when an interest in death row organ donations led him to the discovery of physician-assisted suicide in the Netherlands.
Dr. Kevorkian took out his first patient, Mrs. Janet Atkins. She suffered from early-onset Alzheimer's disease, a debilitating disease causing memory loss and eventual death, which appears far earlier than normally expected. Atkinson died using a simplified version of his suicide machine, the same machine, a machine similar to one later used by Marjorie Wentz to commit suicide, called the Thanatron. The Thanatron was named after Thanatos, the child of Nyx and Erebos, was the Grecian symbol of death, portrayed in statuary and paintings as an infant, a boy, and more. With his personifications wide and vast, as his legend aged, he began to be seen as a representation of gentle demise, a fitting namesake for the doctor's suicide machine.
This is a basic infusion setup, which can be created for less than $40. The procedure began with the establishment of an intravenous access, in the case of Miss Wantz, a right arm access. First, harmless saline where it was infused, maintaining the access and beginning the process. Then, thiopental was introduced, causing the patient to go unconscious. Upon loss of consciousness, the patient's arm fell, triggering the final infusion, potassium chloride, which stopped the heart and breathing. Occurring in a quiet cabin in the woods, Wentz and Miller took their lives under the watchful eye of Dr. Kevorkian.
Marjorie and Sherry were both in considerable pain, and their decision was not made in a single day.
Sherry suffered from multiple sclerosis, a progressively degenerative neurological condition, and was unable to legibly write by the time Dr. Kevorkian finally offered her a reprieve.
Marjorie was a malpractice sufferer who had endured many painful operations, which left her in unbearable pain. After attempting suicide twice herself, she took the help of Dr. Kevorkian.
After Dr. Kevorkian helped these 2 women, the Medical Examining Board of Michigan took an interest in the case, and soon Dr. Kevorkian was fighting for his right to practice medicine.
The Michigan Board of Medicine suspended Dr. Kevorkian's license to practice, which stripped him of his right to treat patients and prescribe medications.
And so began the fight of a lifetime. Dr. Kevorkian was charged with murder in the first degree and felony delivery of a controlled substance.
While the story of Sherry Miller and Marjorie Wentz had ended, the story of now superstar Jack Kevorkian had just begun.
Facing murder charges and the concept of possible irrevocable loss of livelihood and the ability to practice medicine, Dr. Kevorkian remained brave.
While awaiting trial, Dr. Kevorkian continued offering consultations on physician-assisted suicide, and even instructed a California dentist on how to make the machine.
Despite continuing mounting pressure, he continued, fighting for justice, and he eventually got just that.
In July of 1992, the Honorable Judge David Breck dismissed the charges against Dr. Kevorkian, leaving him out of prison but without the authorization to practice medicine within Michigan.
With his national star rising and his medical privileges waning, Dr. Kevorkian continued a brave crusade for the rights of his patients.
From his 1997 imprisonment to his 2011 death, Dr. Kevorkian's effects on today's world was and is vast.
Dr. Kevorkian's work sparked conversations across the United States and the world.
Recently in California, this can be seen as the End-of-Life Option Act, also referred to as Senate Bill 128. This law, which came into effect in June, allows patients to seek a prescription for intentional overdose.
Similar laws exist in Vermont, Washington State, Washington, D.C., and possibly most memorably, Oregon. Oregon became the first state to approve physician-assisted suicide by passing the DWDA, the Death with Dignity Act, which passed in 1994, shortly after the Sherry Miller and Marjorie Wentz suicides. From laws allowing physician-assisted suicide to ethical changes, Dr. Kevorkian's effects on the national and international health community have been vast and frequent. And we leave you with this final thought. If the right to life is so important, then so isn't the right to death.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you